Hello, everybody, and welcome to CPA for IT's webinar on the top 3 tools to take your business to the next level. I'm joined by my colleague and the co-host of Friday AI, Kasim Mukhtar. So, Kasim, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us today. We've got a session
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
that I think is right up your alley. It's all around some of these AI-based tools
Oh, yeah.
and some tools to help businesses, really take their productivity to the next level. So we've got, I guess, 3 major tools that we're going to try and cover off today, which include Canva, which we've done a whole session on Friday AI,
Yep.
and we're big believers in that piece of technology. We're going to be talking about Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop, which are RPA-based tools, which we are big fans of, and we think that they can really help elevate your productivity. And then, of course, in this day and age, we would be remiss if we didn't have a conversation about AI and ChatGPT, which, we're probably going to be talking about ChatGPT, but I think synonymously, we can talk about that with any AI, whether that's Claude, which seems to be getting some really good feedback on its
Yep.
communication platforms right now, as well as their ability, for software development, and there's a whole bunch of others in there as well. So why don't we start with the ones that are a little bit more specific, where less general. So we'll start with Canva and Power Automate, and then jump into ChatGPT. But Canva, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is a graphic design tool. And historically, it's been relatively cheap and easy to use. It was a big competitor to Adobe. It's got a whole slew of benefits in it, in that it's got all these templates and theming and customizability. But the one thing I should share with you guys is that I've heard through the grapevine, i.e. TikTok, that there is going to be some price increases on Canva in October, and I've heard that they could be quite steep. But I still think that this is a really amazing tool when combined with things like artificial intelligence to enable small business owners to be able to bring to life their vision in ways that were historically required you to bring on designers and developers and programmers and all sorts of stuff like that. And I think, the bottom line is that we're living in the best era possible to be a small business owner, because the amount of technology that is out there that enables you to do and bring to life your vision in ways that historically were very expensive and time consuming to do. But before I steal all the thunder, Kasim, what are your thoughts about Canva, and what are your favorite features and functionality in Canva? Because you use it quite a lot for our firm. By the way, round of applause for Kasim, who does all the graphic design for our firm in Canva.
Thank you.
Like the little thumbnails that you're seeing for this on YouTube, and the graphic design on our website, all of that done by Kasim using Canva. So Canva, you love it, I believe, don't you, or do you hate it?
Well, I used to love it a lot until you told me about the price increase. Like
Yeah.
that I was like, red flag. That's not on, because I guess yes, it wasn't gonna stay that cheap forever. But obviously, one of its main USPs used to be that it's a very very affordable tool, which made graphic design really easy, and the barrier to entry to do graphic design was very low, because you didn't need a fancy degree or didn't need to learn the entire Adobe suite to be able to jump into this world and create, creatives maybe for your ad campaigns, or, post for your social media and stuff like that. So that's sort of like my if you're a small business owner and you want to get into the world of social media and you don't know where to start in terms of graphic design, I'd say Canva is your best bet, right? Because it's very easy, very intuitive. And so as Andrew said, that it has a lot of pre-built templates which you can customize based on your own, color palette and whatever you want. So it's all very, very nice and intuitive. And it has a number of cool features which I want to give a shout out to, because it'd be remiss if we didn't, because these features I feel like are what takes Canva to the, what takes Canva to the next level, because you can save a lot of time and do things very quickly and very easily and very efficiently with these features, right? So uh, the first feature that I want to touch up on, which I highly recommend to everyone watching check out on Canva, is called bulk create, which interestingly Andrew introduced me to while he was scrolling the world of TikTok and looking at every AI, every bit of AI news that he was looking at. So the bulk create feature, I think it's really cool. The way it works, let me give you sort of like a high level overview, right? And then what it basically does is that it has the capability of creating hundreds and hundreds of social media posts for you in literally like 1 second or like a few seconds, right? So imagine creating 200 social media posts manually. It's going to take you, even on Canva, it's going to take you like hours, despite of it being so easy to do. So what you can do like on bulk create is you can just like create a CSV file with all of your headings and your title for the social media posts, your descriptions, whatever it is that you want to include on your graphic design posts. You upload that CSV file onto Canva, click a few buttons, and then it's going to literally create hundreds of pictures. And it works for videos too, by the way. Like if you want to create 100 short form videos for your Instagram reels or for YouTube shorts, bulk create can do that for you, right? It's very, very simple. We can't really, because we don't have enough time. I would love to sort of pull up my
Uh,
screen, show how to, but we
We
do
do have
have.
a video. If you actually go back to Friday High and you check out our podcast, some of our early podcasts were very much we were showing screens, and we did one on Canva where we've got a walkthrough of how to use a whole bunch of the
Bulk create.
AI features and how to do the bulk create video. And you guys, if any of you are following us on Instagram, you have seen this in real life. We have one of
Yeah.
our best performing posts book recommendations for small business owners. So that was all built using ChatGPT and Canva's bulk create tool. Back what almost a year and a half ago, 2 years
Pretty
ago,
much. Yeah.
and we built out like literally 100 posts, the entire year's worth of posts for our Tuesday book recommendations by going into Chat GPT and asking it for a list of books that would be beneficial for small business owners, with the author and a short description. That then gave us a
Yep.
table that we had in a spreadsheet, and then we went to bulk create. We created a template for what that image looks like. And if any of you read it or seen our posts, you know what that looks like. Comes out every single week. It's the same design with a different title, description, and author underneath. And you just basically you put in your placeholder text. You right click on that placeholder text, and you connect that to your spreadsheet, and it will then go through and
Yep.
create. In our case, it was I think something like 150 um, 150 or 100 posts. So that set us up for
Pretty
3 years worth of social media posts. And it has become our number one performing post on Instagram week after week after week after week.
Oh
And
yeah.
to your point, that can be done now with videos as well. That bulk create is definitely one of my favorite features. You could literally go in, set up Canva, even if they raise their prices 300 to 500%, set it up for 1 month, create an entire year's worth of content, close your Canva account.
Yeah. So we have a question from Robert here. Does bulk creating Canva require a paid subscription? If so, what is the current monthly cost? So yeah, to answer your question, Robert, it does require a paid subscription. The cost for it right now, I believe, is something around $50-$60, like something around that. But it is expected to go up, right? Like as Andrew was talking about, it can go up by 300-400%. So it's definitely not going to stay very cheap anymore. But still, to Andrew's point, you can just create your account for 1 month, create like 1,000 social media posts, and then that's your value for the entire year. That you don't have to create any more social media posts, right? And we do a KPI review every month of all of our social media to see what's working, what's not working, what are the areas of improvement. And every time those bulk create posts are outperforming all of the other posts, which kind of blows your mind because it literally took like a few seconds, like a few minutes worth of effort in creating them, right? So that's pretty special, pretty powerful.
Robert seems to say he can't hear us. I hope. Is there anyone else in the comments who can comment? I'm assuming you must have heard us if you heard us talk about Canva, and I'm hearing you come through just fine. Right now, Canva pricing. I just looked it up. So Canva pricing at the moment for a Canva Pro license, which you do need to do to bulk create, is $150 Canadian per year for one person. If you go to Canva Teams, it's $130 Canadian per year per person, but it's a minimum of 3 people, so it's 390 Canadian a year. Like I said, prices are going up supposedly in October by somewhere to the tune of 300 to 500% is what we have heard. I cannot verify that, but
That's going to be a lot. That's
$150 a
big stuff.
year, you like
Yeah.
that bulk create. I can only imagine what that would have taken a designer to build, 150 posts back in the day. That would have been thousands of dollars, thousands
Oh
of
yeah,
dollars.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and like right now, you don't. That's the beauty of it. Like with Canva, you don't even need to hire a professional designer. Like you can use a template. They have hundreds and hundreds of templates, if not thousands of templates within the platform. Use a template you like, tweak it a bit, to your liking, and boom, like it's that easy to use. So, definitely powerful. Okay, so yeah,
Robert
so
says he's
Robin's
going to
saying
leave
it.
and join back.
Yeah,
Robert,
leave and
if
join.
it's not if you can't hear the audio here, you can of course join us live on any of our social media channels. We are streaming live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Nader, thank you for confirming that you can
Thank
actually hear
you.
us. Much appreciated, because this is a trial. This is the first time that we're
Yeah.
having guests join us in Restream as opposed to Zoom, and we wanted to see how well this would actually work. Because I can tell you, as a presenter, I actually prefer Restream to Zoom. It gives me a little bit more control, allows us to push stuff up from the chat that's coming from our social media platforms. A much better platform, in my opinion. But let's circle back to what we're talking about here,
Canva. Yeah.
which is all the different things that you can do in Canva, and we sort of glossed over the ability to set up your brand in Canva. But I think that this is, in my opinion, one of the really the most important things that you can do, especially if you were not a creative who has design background and experience, but you're looking to put together professional looking quality, whether that's websites, images, anything like that. So you can create your brand, and your brand can have a font, it can have a logo, it can have your primary colors, and you get a color palette, I should say, not a color.
Yeah.
And this means that when you go to create a document, you've got that brand template. And especially with some of the AI-based tools, which we'll probably touch on, it allows you to
Yeah.
create content quickly and easily using written words, as opposed to actually, trying to design it out yourself. But it will do it in your brand, which includes your fonts as well as your theme colors and logos and stuff like that.
For sure.
So, and sorry, go ahead.
One of the next, yeah, I was just saying. So, touching upon some of the cool, features in Canva. One other very cool feature, which I definitely think people should check out, is their AI image editing suite, because I feel like that's so powerful, and so I feel like a bit underrated at this point, because I don't see a lot of designers, at least in my network, talking about it. Because so what you can do in Canva is that you can literally upload any image that you want. You can even generate images within there. So you can upload any image that you want and use a bunch of their AI editing features to essentially make that image better. So a few of these which you can do is, for example, you can remove backgrounds literally by clicking a button. So it recognizes the subject in the image, and if you want to make the background go away, just click on a button, and it works for headshots, or for if you see in our thumbnails, right? We just have the subject in a nice frame, and we don't have the background. That's how you do it with Canva, right? You can erase stuff out of frame. So if you have a picture which has some unnecessary elements on there, just erase it, and it'll seem like it wasn't there before. And that, I think, is very cool as well. You can literally grab and edit text off of images now on Canva. So any text that you have on there, you can literally edit that with their AI features. Again, very cool for thumbnails and social media posts and stuff like that. And lastly, which is a very, very cool feature, I feel like, is it's Restream is gonna thumbs up. There's a Restream increase. Last feature which I feel is really, really cool on Canva in their AI image editing is Magic Expand. So what Magic Expand does is, let me sort of explain it in a more sort of visual way, where imagine you have an image of a person, and that image is cut off from right in the middle, right? So you have like a half of a person's face, or anything. It could be any subject for that matter. Now, imagine if you had a tool where you can literally complete that image using generative AI. So, and that's something which you can do in Canva, even with human faces. I've tested it, guys. It works. So, definitely something which people should check out if they're looking to even just edit photos, on the fly,
Well,
and not
a
really.
great
Yeah.
example is you have a photo that you've taken in mode, but you want it in landscape, right? Before in the
Yeah.
past, that meant you had to zoom in and crop out, which was really your only option. But maybe you wanted that wide visual for whatever reason. Now you can take a portrait and just expand it so you get the full width of a landscape shot, and it just automatically makes that up, which includes, like, if you're on a beach, it's going to put the horizon on, and it's going to get, like, it's really quite powerful with what you can do.
Oh, yeah.
And shout out to Dan, who's saying he's using LinkedIn right now, or using Canva for his LinkedIn featured posts, which gives it a really nice sort of carousel fail. And I think that this is one of the things, like, even if you are an IT consultant, which many of our businesses are that we serve, there's still lots of value in focusing in on generating professional looking images and content, and putting that out on your social media posts, and building your profile, which will help you find your next contracts, because you're respected in the industry for the value and the content that you're providing there, and demonstrating your credibility, which I think is really an underutilized feature by IT consultants, who are just more relying on their network to find their next job, when really there's still a lot of um, um, jobs being filled by staffing agencies who are actively going out when they have a project and searching LinkedIn to find people that they think would be a good fit. And if they're checking out
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn and you've got a great profile, you're gonna be the first person they call, compared to the other guy who's got the same experience with a really limited profile, let's just say. So thanks Dan for sharing. And yeah, I think that there are a lot of tools and features that you can use in Canva, no matter what type of business. There really is no world in which, in the day we're living in, you're not going to need to prepare some sort of image or video to demonstrate your knowledge, your expertise, your branding, and to
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
that ability for people who weren't historically creatives, who didn't know how to build designs, um, and be able to pull those in from things like AI, which can build incredible things. But now you can take that AI generated image, drop that into Canva, because Canva, while it does have an AI image generator, it's probably not as good as maybe some of the other ones that we will talk about. But you can, and which I have done many times, is I'll generate an image in another AI, I'll bring it over into Canva, and I'll use the grab text and the magic grab features to then dissect that, which historically, if you had an image, you couldn't change the text quickly and easily, and you couldn't, grab,
Very
like, just say
difficult.
the hat off someone's head and pick it up and move it, right? Like that is literally the capability that you have now. Is like I can literally even go in and I can draw a picture around my head and say, put a hat on my head so you can't see my bald head. And like you can literally, it is incredibly powerful, and it requires very little knowledge and skill
Yeah,
to become a professional creative by leveraging tools um, like the magic remove and the magic grab and the magic expand and the magic eraser and the background remover, which these AI tools are really quite cool. But there's also other AI features that allow you to create a whole entire image just from text. And again,
oh
while
yeah,
Canva has this feature and functionality, I don't know about you, Kasim. I
not
don't use
too
it.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, you're better off. I personally go and build my images in another image generator. There's a lot out there. Different things are better for different purposes, but amazing AI generators. But often when you get that image, you want just a subtle tweak. And if you try to
yeah,
do it through AI, you won't get what you're looking for. But if you
yep,
get it 80% there, bring it into Canva and then tweak it, then put it into a template, use bulk create, and you've got
yep.
some really, really powerful things. But before we move on, because believe it or not, we've already spent 20 minutes just talking about Canva.
Oh
Before we
wow.
move on to some of the other tools, is there anything else that you think are important to note about Canva before we move on?
The only thing, I would say is that, people sometimes have that sort of persona that, hey, I don't want to learn this new tool. It's going to be difficult. There's that inherent sort of barrier, that psychological barrier that you have when you're, trying to play with any new technology, right? That's going to be complicated or stuff like that. I would highly recommend, because Andrew said in today's day and age, you need to have a brand, right? Whether it's your own personal brand, whether it's your company's brand, whatever it is, you need to be out there on social media, whether it can be on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is. So I'd suggest to everyone watching, if you are new and you want to experiment, don't be afraid and don't be hesitant, right? Just get a subscription, or even just you don't even need to get a subscription. Start off with their free version, right? It still has a lot of features in there which you can sort of play around with, explore, and then once you get comfortable with it, you can start exploring more, get a paid subscription, and start leveraging more features. So yeah, that's my main advice, is that don't be intimidated by it, because literally this is one of the most easiest tools to use right now on the market, arguably I would say, for graphic design.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the next tool I want to talk about um, before we get into AI, because that can really steal the spotlight and draw a lot of attention from us, is Power Automate.
Oh
um,
yeah,
and RPA. And the thing is, RPA is not actually that new, but it's new for me. Well, I would say about a year and a half, 2 years that we've been diving into Power Automate. Now, what Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop are is robotic process automation tools. Um, and so, what this allows you to do is to take any process that you have, particularly Power Automate Desktop, that you do on your machine, and automate that flow. So you might hear a lot of talk right now about agents and potentially having the ability for AI to be able to go and take actions.
yeah,
Well, RPA is the ability to take actions. It's the ability to actually program and do things. Now, RPA is not artificial intelligence. It is unintelligent, right? And so historically, it's been really good for repetitive, non-cognitive tasks, where you could take, hey, I need to go to a site and download everything, and then for each document in there, I want to do X, Y, and Z, right?
yeah,
And it's incredibly powerful. And what we like about it as accountants is consistency. Um, so you are guaranteed that you are going to get the same process every single time. Now, one of the downsides is if, let's say, for example, you're working with a website, and one of the things that you've told it is, okay, I want you to go click on the home button. If they get rid of the home button and replace it with, just their company name, all of a sudden it breaks, and you've got to go back in and fix it, because it's not artificial intelligence, it's not learning, it's just going based on a bunch of pre-programmed, preset rules. But when you combine robotic process automation with artificial intelligence is where you're able to actually build out effectively AI agents, right? It's artificial intelligence with the ability to take actions. And if you haven't heard about AI agents, they are absolutely definitively the future. And one of the things that we get in trouble about, or at least I get in trouble about, is talking about AI replacing jobs. Because I went and I spoke to a webinar to a group of accountants, and I said that, and I got in big trouble for saying that AI would be taking accounting jobs from accountants who didn't evolve and change what they did. But the reality is that is true. It is true from a programmer and development standpoint. It is true from an accounting standpoint. It is basically true for every industry except for laborers, general laborers, or skilled tradespeople
Yeah.
who, and who knows, we might be getting robots near the future as well who can do that as well. But it's AI on its own, or large language models and generative AI can't do that unless it has the ability to take actions. And while you wait for actions to come out, you actually can build your own actions by leveraging robotic process automation and leveraging tools like Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop. And Power Automate Desktop, again, from a amazingly affordable perspective, is only $20 per user per month,
Oh, yeah.
which is incredible, right? Like, so if you, unfortunately, it's only as good as what you can actually build with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It requires your knowledge to be able to go in and say, hey, this is the step-by-step process. And the hard part about RPA is that when I speak to people about RPA, their minds are usually blown. They're like, wow, I didn't realize you can do this. This is incredibly powerful. But they're overwhelmed by it and they don't know where to get started because it feels like you need to have some programming skills. And I would disagree with that. I don't think you need programming skills, but what you need to have is the ability to know and understand the process first and foremost. And I mean, like, intimately, like every step, not big picture, high level. These are the 8 steps in the accounting workflow. Like every step in the process, and what are the like what could happen if this happens? What are the alternate routes that this could go? And Robert is finally back in and hearing us. Woo!
Yay! Let's see if we can do the fireworks. We can.
So you really do need to have, yeah, you got the fireworks going. You do need to have a bit of an analytical mind and understand the concepts of if statements and loops and logical process, right? But even that, I think we're a very, very short period away from when you're going to be able to have AI basically, you just do the process and it's going to build out an RPA for you. I mean, Power Automate has got some tools built into it to already analyze processes. And you can do things like, does anyone ever remember Excel macros? Or, well, they still exist.
Yeah,
But
they
how
do
you
exist.
record a macro and you go in and you click on this cell and you type equals sum, and then the macro would repeat what you did. You can record a flow in Power Automate, and it will go in and watch what you do and repeat what you do as part of the RPA of the robot or the flow. It's not very accurate. And we found it's a much better process for you to actually go in and build the process. And in fact, not really, doesn't take any more time than doing the recorder and fixing all the problems with the recorder, arguably less times than using the recorder. But you do have that capability of going in there and having no knowledge. And then also what we do, because by the way, Kasim, who's building out RPA flows now with us, and we're leveraging this for all sorts of things. Like one of the cool ones we did is, again, on the marketing front, and I demonstrated this at the presentation I did, is I took an RPA flow that goes onto the CRA website, downloads their blog posts, takes their blog posts, goes into InVideo, which I don't know if anyone is familiar with InVideo. It's an AI-based application where you give it text and it generates a video for you. Generates a video, and again, for bulk creation, we used RPA to create, I think, something like another 50 videos going
Yep.
through all the CRA's blog post data with information using the CRA's information, but creating it and turning that into a video that we could share in our reels and our shorts on social media. Now,
Yep.
they don't tend to do as well as that book one because they, you know, the AI generating tools that exist for video right now do come across as a bit robotic. But what we've seen in the past year alone in the quality of those videos and what we've seen with Sora and what we know is coming with AI video is that's going to just get better and better and better.
Mhm.
And you're going to still need the ability to be able to go, okay, I want you to go pull from, this feed and turn that into a video. I want you to go and take, my blog content, summarize it, then turn that into a video. And a lot of that you would now need to do with RPA. So, I mean, Kasim, what do you think are the key things that people should know? And this is speaking as someone who has only been introduced to RPA in the last year, had no experience with Power Automate prior to that, and is now building flows almost on a regular basis. I think you almost have a new flow that we're launching every week.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. What I would say, so when we talk about RPA, what I would say is that I like to sort of give this example where it's like, imagine you have an assistant who starts working, at a certain time every day, checks your email, checks your tasks, sends certain emails based on those tasks, and then sends different files to different people based on those tasks, does Excel entries, schedules your appointments and stuff like that. Now, imagine if you don't really need an assistant for that, and that goes back to us getting in trouble for AI taking over jobs. But imagine if you can build that assistant out, and it would continue to keep working for you for only $20 a month. Now, that in itself is enough to sort of blow people's mind, right? And that's what RPA is at its core. You're literally building out assistants for specific tasks, which will continue to keep on running and continue to keep on doing those tasks. And based on I've been introduced to RPA fairly recently, and what I've learned from RPA is that there's this saying in golf that it's not really about how good your good shots are, but it's about how good your bad shots are. So it's like, the good shots are going to be pretty much the same for a pro and an amateur, but it's the bad shots which really separate the amateur and the pro, right? That's with RPA as well. Like, if your RPA is working fine and it's doing its job, then it's perfect. It's not gonna be a problem. It's gonna continue working perfectly fine. But where the skill comes in creating a good RPA and creating a good automation is to build in those exceptions, to build in those error handling exceptions, where if your flow breaks, it can navigate around those errors, because inevitably your RPA is going to break. It's about how you handle those, right? So I would say to people who want to get into the world of RPA, it seems complicated. I didn't know about RPA until like a few months ago, right? uh, and the barrier to entry seemed pretty high. I remember the first training session I did with Andrew. I was like, holy shit, how pardon my language, I was like, holy cow, how am I gonna learn this? This seems way too complicated. That doesn't seem like it's gonna be very easy. But it's not that complicated. Like, it's very intuitive. Again, drag and drop based on, and if you have your process nailed down to the T, like all the micro things you're doing in your process, it's going to be very easy for you to build your RPA, right? Now, what I would suggest for people who are thinking of maybe upskilling themselves before they jump into RPA, is that maybe you can take some basic programming, very very basic entry level programming classes or courses or something like that, which give you an overview of if statements and loops and stuff like that, all of which will be used in your RPAs. But yeah, that's sort of like my sort of intro in terms of what it can do and how powerful it is. And like, yeah, like it's about how good your bad shots are. So you have to build in those exceptional handlings and build in those conditions so that your flow handles those errors when it inevitably breaks. We have a question here from Robert. Have you found an AI application that can monitor and respond to DMs in Instagram, or did I miss this, or will you be discussing soon? So,
It
to
wasn't really
answer,
planned. There's a ton of them out there, right? Like there's
yeah, there's a
ManyChat.
ton out already. Yeah,
Yeah. So ManyChat is one you might want to look at. Chatamize, Copilot.live, which is not Copilot, Spectrum, Social Media Today, Planoly. Like there's literally dozens. Tideo, which actually we had used Tideo before in the past at
yeah,
one point, because it brings all the messaging into one platform. Like there's a lot of things that do that. Um, but caveat, I really highly don't recommend those. It's a
yeah,
really good way to get your accounts canceled. And because we've discovered the hard way that when with social media channels, if you put in too much automation, then you get one, first of all,
Gonna get-
um,
yeah,
penalized in your posts, and not ranked by their algorithm the way that you would like. And then with DMs and chat messaging, you can be deemed to be a robot and get blacklisted. Particularly, LinkedIn is a dangerous platform to do that on. Instagram is
yeah,
also. In fact, I was saying to Kasim the other day, I saw this amazing post of like how to review and analyze your organic posts to figure out which ones you should actually promote as a paid post. I was like, oh, this is genius. And he's like, it's smart, but I'm a bit concerned about it because Instagram has a
yeah,
notorious thing for blacklisting you when you do automations. I'm like, yeah, well, that's something we should definitely consider. Maybe see if there's ways that we can do it and put it into another channel and then move it over so manually.
yeah,
But yeah, that they exist out there. It's not really the core focus of today's session. Um,
yeah.
but there you go. If anyone else is looking for a specific software and a specific thing, we I watch a lot of TikToks on AI, so I've probably come across what you're trying to solve. And the reality is, what AI has enabled is the ability to launch applications faster and better than ever before. And many of
Oh yeah,
the applications that you say today will eventually be replaced by AI agents or just improvements in the large language models themselves, which we have already seen happen with a lot of tech startups that just got completely wiped out by what ChatGPT and Claude and these other LLMs can do. Which is maybe, I don't know, it's a good transition point moving from RPA into AI. And I guess we were planning to focus specifically. Um, well, actually, sorry, before we do that, maybe we need to talk about the hybrid of, well,
that's what I was gonna say.
I need to step
Yeah,
back a few steps. I get too excited. I go too far. So first and foremost, I have to shame Microsoft for having terrible naming conventions. Um, so Microsoft has chosen to name their web-based platform, which is not robotic process automation. It is workflow automation, much like Zapier or Make, Power Automate, and then name their RPA, which is a completely different product and
yeah,
platform, Power Automate Desktop. People often get confused between the two, but what we're talking about is automating steps on your machine, which are clicks and you know taking advantage of your file structure on your machine, and anything that's on your physical machine, versus Power Automate, which is working with existing APIs. Now, by the way, working with an existing API, if it's out there, is more reliable than doing clicks because, like I said, if
oh yeah,
anything changes and where that mouse click is or what it's named, or what they call the selector changes, your flow could break. Whereas with an API, they tend to be much more robust. It's not that they don't break. Trust me, we've had more than enough zaps from Zapier break to know. But Zapier, Make, Power Automate, they're all in the same idea of workflow automation, which we do absolutely love, but it's not robotic process automation. They're two completely different things. And they name their their API integration tool Power Automate and their RPA tool Power Automate Desktop. And now they've also released Power Automate Cloud/AI, which is actually a good
which
transition point.
is Very
to
cool.
AI,
Yeah.
because it is actually using ChatGPT as its fundamental core, and allowing you to do RPA connected to AI with pre-programmed prompts, as well as models for vision. So it's not just large language models. It's a whole AI engine. Their large language model is ChatGPT that it is leveraging, but it's a more private, connected version of ChatGPT. So I think a lot of people have heard that one of the big concerns with using AI is security and confidentiality, which we take very, very seriously. We would never in a million years take client information and put it into ChatGPT because we don't know
Oh
where
yeah.
that data is going. We still don't do that with Microsoft's AI, but Microsoft's AI, we know where that's going. We know that that's not being shared. We know it's not being used in any sort of training process.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're still relatively early ourselves in the AI hub features of ChatGPT, but we're looking at doing some really amazing things. What you, as a client, may not realize is that we as accountants spend a lot of time um, trying to collect information, organize information so that we can process that information effectively as possible.
Yep.
And what we're working on right now is using large language models, computer vision, to be able to take in documents that come in a shoebox, effectively, a digital shoebox, and take all those things and then be able to, we're not even talking about taking information and process it, but just help us to categorize it. This is a T4. This is a donation receipt. And you'd be amazed at how much human labor is spent doing that. And hey,
Oh,
do
yeah.
we have all 12 months bank statements? Do we have all the donations? Do we have, donations might be a little harder one to do. Do we have all the right information we need to be able to do the job for you? And there's a huge amount of time and ultimately cost for our clients to do that. So we're trying to leverage AI and machine learning using Microsoft's Power Automate Cloud AI Hub to be able to leverage this. We're still very, very, very much early days. We don't even have a
But the
working
results are
prototype.
promising. The initial results are very, very promising, I would say.
The
Yeah.
it is very, very, very promising. And what I love about it is many of you, if you are customers, know that we have recommended for years tools like Dext and HubDoc, which allow you to take a physical receipt and have that categorized automatically and put into your QuickBooks file. Actually, it didn't do the categorization, but it did put it into QuickBooks Online for you. An incredibly powerful tool because as accountants, the number one problem we've had for years is people either losing receipts or not having the documentation, getting into an audit and not being able to defend those because we don't have the documentation necessary to defend that. So we love that. But we were beholden to these platforms. And in fact, less than a year ago, we had to go back and we had historically given Dex to all of our clients for free because we had a bulk package pricing and it was at a cost that was affordable enough that we were willing to eat that cost to be able to provide it to all of our clients. Unfortunately, Dex came in with a very substantial price increase in that tune of that 300 to 500% increase, like Canva is purported to be doing. And so we had to go back to our clients and say, sorry, we can't offer that for free anymore. We still recommend it. We can get you a discount of wholesale pricing, but we can't afford to offer it for free anymore because they've jumped their pricing so much on that. Many of you continue to choose to use that platform, which I think is amazing because I think it's such a powerful and amazing tool. But
Yeah.
what we're able to use with the AI Hub is we're actually able to build out our own image recognition and classification tools in as simple as just uploading 5 images and saying on those images, okay, this is where the date is, this is where the amount is, this is where, whatever information that you want to pull off. So you load up your 5 images, you tell it what data you want to collect off those 5 images. And in those 5 images, you show it where on that image that is. It then uses artificial intelligence to be able to go and analyze that and other documents that look similar but not exactly the same to be able to pull all that information off for you that can then be used in various flows and then put into, say, QuickBooks Online or whatever the case might be. So you can build your own decks relatively quickly and easily if you're focusing on some core things. Now, we've only built it out so far for donations and bank statements. The first run on the bank statement with only 5 transactions gave us 80% accuracy. For anyone who knows accountants, we would never accept 80% accuracy. So I actually asked Kasim's sister to go in and load in a few more bank account transactions to be able to get it up. And she got it up to 98% accuracy with, I think, by adding 10 more images. So 15 images in total to get it to 98% accuracy is incredibly powerful to be able to build your own OCR tools. And again, have consistency. Because yes, you can throw a bank statement into ChatGPT and you can ask it to analyze it. But for any of you who've been in the know, you know that it is not perfect by any imagination. And if you want to see how bad it is, go open up ChatGPT right now and ask it how many R's are in the word strawberry. I guarantee you it's going to get it wrong, because it'll tell you 2. And no matter how much you tell it, it will continue to tell you it's 2 and it's wrong. This is all over TikTok right now.
But the thing is that, like, with this particular tool that you're talking about, Andrew, like, I think I'm a big fan of it, and it works perfectly for, documents which have a similar style or a similar template, right? It can
Yeah.
be bank statements, it can be invoices, it can be
T4s,
any sort of
C5s, donation
T4,
receipts, things
C5s,
that have a
exactly.
structured format. It does unstructured, but its target market is structured format.
Exactly. And what we're experimenting with is something next level as well, where you have these structured documents, you can train your own AI models, and it can work perfectly fine, and it can pull data off of that using image recognition. What we're experimenting with, and which I believe is going to be the future, despite of GPT-4 having its quirks right now, is that we're playing with custom prompts in Power Automate AI. So what custom prompts, let me back up a little bit. So what we try and do is that we marry our Power Automate desktop, the RPA that we talked about, with Power Automate Cloud, the workflow automation that we talked about, right? So what we're doing, we're testing out of what it does right now is that our desktop agent, our Power Automate desktop, takes a bunch of files from one of our shared drives, and it sends each file to one of our AI models in Power Automate AI, right? Now, in Power Automate AI, what we've done is that we built out a custom prompt saying that, okay, first, what you have to do is you have to extract all text from this document. And then we literally wrote out a prompt for GPT-4 which says that, I'm giving you a document, it's extracted text. So you have to categorize it based on certain keywords, right? You have to see whether it's a donation, it can be any document, right? It could be medical expenses or whatever it is. And you literally don't even have to train your AI model. You just write that prompt out. You give it that input text, the text extracted from the document, and it literally produces whatever information you wanted to produce in whatever format you wanted to produce. And it can be a CSV format, it can be in JSON, whatever it is, right? Now that I feel like is so powerful, because before you had to go document by document and train each document and pull out specific fields. But with the way AI is improving, and with the way the synergy is becoming more and more efficient, is that you can literally write out whatever you want to pull from a document, and it will do that for you, right? And then it can do a bunch of other actions based off of that information that you pull out of it. So I think that's the future, where RPA and these agents are going to work in tandem with these LLMs, right? And these
Yeah.
workflow automations, because that essentially at that point you have something which can not only do cognitive tasks very, very well, but it can also do non-cognitive tasks. And that's pretty much like an entire agent who can do like any corporate task you could ever imagine. It's not perfect yet. It's not there. It's getting very, very close, but I'm confident that pretty soon it's going to be something which everyone is going to turn to, in terms of a solution for some of their repetitive tasks, or even like some cognitive tasks as well. So yeah, powerful stuff for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's the big thing. I thought I saw So first of all, Robert, thank you for confirming that apparently ChatGPT has fixed the 3R
Woo!
issue. Um, so apparently you can now get the correct answer on that. But it was a trending issue in all of the models for a short period of time, and
Yeah.
that's a function of the way it's gathering and producing information, which is not in the way that we would normally think. It's not letter by letter. It's bit by bit, which, believe it or not, different. Um, and though I think that, like to your point, Kasim, what we've got right now is agents maybe coming down the road and being able to create these steps and these processes. But I can tell you from my experience with the reliability, maybe Strawberry's fixed now, but we have hallucinations, we have
Yeah.
inconsistencies with AI, and we know that, hey, the more you narrow the context, you can get it better, and you can get the results that you want. What
Yep.
I have loved about RPA is you have guaranteed consistency.
Oh
There
yeah.
is no hallucination. And then when you can marry it and say, okay, I want consistency from here to here. In this area, I want a bit of creativity, and I want you to do some thinking, right? And
Yep.
that's going to get incredibly powerful. And I know that agents is what everyone is talking about, and that they're right around the corner. But I
Oh yeah.
also believe that certainly our first round of agents are going to be anything that I can trust to be accurate and not do the wrong things. And
Yeah.
again, so where you combine structure with RPA, that you will do, you will follow this, this, and that. And again, being someone who employs people and have ISO processes and documented processes where human beings are meant to follow a specific process step by step. Humans aren't perfect at following process step by step either. And I'll be the first to admit, we do make mistakes. We do our best to acknowledge, and when we make a mistake, and to correct those. Where RPA gives me the ability is I do not have a mistake. A file is never misnamed. It's never put in the wrong folder. It's that consistency that we are getting out of it to create structure, which as accountants, as professional accountants, we need 99.9999% accuracy. Even 1% error rate is problematic for us.
In
And so,
fact, most of my RPAs fail when they depend on some human level of consistency, right? It can
yeah.
be a document is misnamed, and then the RPA would be like, "This is not what you told me that it was going to be named, XYZ." So that's where it fails the
And what
most.
you love about that is then right away that it's failed. And you
Yeah.
know where it's failed, and you know what it's filed. And usually it involves going back in, like you said, and fixing a human created error. But now we're able to track and identify those in ways that we were never able to do before too. Because also, like, a big part of what we do as accountants is review, work, prepare. We spend a lot of time reviewing and making sure things are done right. Checks on checks on checks on checks.
Oh
This is
yeah.
what we do as accountants. And it's really easy for the human eye to miss, a transposition of numbers, or a human generated error. Computers don't make transposition errors. They don't
Oh
miss
yeah.
transposition errors. Like, and so we've got one of our RPAs now is we have a check before we e-file. Hey, is the amount that is on the signed T183 the amount that's on the return that we want to have a human e-file? And now, like, I have guaranteed 100% consistency. And while we had a human do that in the process before, I can tell you it was not always perfect. And because it's so easy, especially if you're, imagine,
Mhm.
we're an accounting firm doing personal tax, we're doing hundreds of these, and we're all e-filing them on the same day. It is so easy to miss a transposition error or
Yeah,
a
it's bound to
decimal in the
happen.
wrong
Like,
place.
yeah,
you know
small mistake. Yeah.
yeah, so being able to get that consistency with RPA mirrored or combined with the benefits of artificial intelligence is where you've got incredible power. Um, and so Robert's confirming ChatGPT 4.0 still not perfect. Just tried how
So
many
Robert,
I's
you're
and
okay.
S's in the word impossibilities. ChatGPT for in the word impossibilities. There are 4-letter I's and two-letter S's. So yeah,
So it has three.
definitely
So,
more
so
S's.
yeah,
You know,
that's yeah.
and again, this comes down to like understanding the way it dissects language. It's not letter by letter, and which is really interesting. But these are the types of problems. And again, a lot of people had no idea that it couldn't do this. And for a long time, it was terrible with math. And now what you have AIs doing is some AIs are actually generating a bit of code to create a little calculator to do the math to get the right answer, because the LLM doesn't do math well. But it can
Yep.
it can create an app super quick, which is a calculator to do the math really quick. And it's going to get better and better and better. And maybe one day we won't need that. But I would say in the short term, you need a combination. If you really want to build automation at the level that we're talking about, is a combination of RPA and artificial intelligence together.
For sure, for sure. I would highly recommend everyone, watching the session is that, again, like I said with Canva, with Power Automate, there's that inherent intimidation. How am I going to do it? It seems way too complicated. It's like when you when you build out an RPA and when you show it to people are usually mind blown, right? Like, I didn't know that this was possible. But when it comes to actually building the RPA out, and I can tell you from experience, so we've talked about this before. We are building out a new team here in Pakistan, which is helping us do a lot of new cool stuff, for the company in terms of accounting related and technology related as well, right? So we've literally had a new resource hired, a couple of months ago, and we gave them Power Automate training. And pretty recently, like obviously with some help, they were able to build out flows which have saved the firm hundreds and hundreds of hours in terms of labor, right? Which it blows my mind that you think that it's something which seems amazing, but it's too complicated. But it's not that complicated at all if you have, like I said before, obviously, if you have some programming knowledge, that's going to be a plus for sure, but not by any means, it's not compulsory at all. And secondly, you have to be very good at problem solving, because I feel like with RPA, where a lot of people get stuck is that they try an approach, it breaks, it doesn't work, and then they just give up, right? And
Yeah.
that's not the attitude you need to have. You need to find out creative solutions for different things. Okay, if my mouse click isn't working here, maybe I can try this with my keyboard shortcuts, right? Like stuff like that, where you have to sort of adapt and think of like solutions on the fly. That kind of mindset is very, very crucial for RP as well. And at the end of the day, if you get into it and if you build out your first flow successfully, I can guarantee you're going to be hooked and addicted. And then we're going to start a new Power Automators Anonymous for addicts like myself, Andrew, and other people as well. So yeah,
and
that's
actually to share a little bit more about what your team built, and I know we're already running short on time. We really didn't even get into ChatGPT, but with what they built is they built a tool to be able to automatically run our benchmark analysis. So we have this benchmark analysis that shows how our clients compare to the average in the median in our database. It has always been run by a human. It takes a bit of time because they got to take every piece of information off the income statement, put it into this benchmark analysis, print the benchmark analysis, and then send it to the client. We were having problems where we've had an automation for quite a bit of time, that as soon as a file is promoted, that it's been reviewed by the account manager, notification goes out to the client, hey, please book a review meeting. And then a task is created for the human to go and publish those reports. The problem was happening is that clients were booking a review meeting before the human got around to getting the reports published and uploaded. And so clients were justifiably upset because, hey, I got to cancel this meeting. It's great that you notified me and I was able to book it super fast, but the file reports aren't there. Like, I was able to book faster the next day and you still don't have the reports published for me. So let's cancel this meeting and wait till those reports are published. Now we can actually do those all as part of the same process. The notification goes out. We ran it today for the first customer, and within 2 minutes of them getting the request to book the meeting, they got the reports uploaded and processed for them automatically. So not only is it time savings in the process, but hopefully it's a better service for our customers. It enables us to fix the problems where we were falling short. And any one of my customers knows the number one thing I'm always trying to do is improve responsiveness and improve turnaround time so that we can get your files completed as accurately as possible, but in as short amount of time as possible. These checks on checks on checks on checks are important, but we want it done as quickly as we possibly can.
For sure, 100%. We do have some comments coming in. So Nader asked, "Does Qasim work for himself? How can we use his expertise?" So Nader, thank you for asking. I actually work with the company CPA for IT. We're an accounting firm based in Canada. Now, while we do not currently offer any, expertise in our robotic process automation, but I'd be happy to drop my email in the chat to see if we can maybe help out in some high level consulting way. But that's something that we can let me actually. I would drop in Andrew's email as well, but his inbox is usually always full, so
Yeah.
not really a good idea. But yeah, something we can definitely look at, if to see if we can maybe help you create a solution around that. So don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, so
And
that's
also
that.
one on another note on that too, because a lot of we always get asked this, hey, can you build this out for me? We're like, we're not done building for ourselves. So it's really difficult, like Kasim says, maybe do a little bit of high level consulting. We probably don't have the bandwidth to come in and build for you because we're so busy building for ourselves, right? And we're
Exactly.
growing our team and expanding our team to build because we're all in that this is the future.
Oh yeah.
But however, if anyone watches our podcast Friday AI, we have had on a guest a couple times, Hitendra Patel, who is an absolute genius. He has a company out of India. They have their own RPA software. They do RPA builds. So if you're looking for a little bit of high level advice and coaching at the macro level, Kasim and I can definitely work with you and assist. If you're looking for implementations and building stuff out, then what I would recommend is we can connect you with Hitendra, and Hitendra has a whole team for building out applications. So you just come in and you basically say, I need this, that, and the other, and he builds you this, that, and the other. So we do have the ability to refer on now because we have been getting that question over and over again. And I
Yeah.
basically had to say to everyone, sorry, we're head deep in building for ourselves. So we're happy to make that referral if that's helpful. And I can tell you, Hitendra and Kasim, I think you can vouch for Hitendra. He knows his stuff, and he's been
Oh
doing this.
yeah, for sure. And actually, interestingly, this Friday, Andrew had recorded a podcast with Hitendra while they were at QB Connect. So we're gonna roll that podcast this Friday. So I think someone asked how to watch the Friday I podcast. So we have it on every 2 weeks on Friday. You'll be able to find it on Andrew's LinkedIn. So just go on there, look under events, and you'll be able to find the podcast. We do roll out invites as well to attendees. So we're only limited by 1,000 invites per week. So sometimes you might get it, sometimes you might not get it. But you can definitely follow Andrew on LinkedIn, and we'll have all of our events there. And our next session is with Hitendra, which obviously we'll link to all of his socials and like his email as well. So if you want to get something built out for your firm, which you can actually put into play and practice, he's definitely the guy to go to. But then again, if you want to have a chat about how to get into it, prerequisites, high level consulting, Andrew and I would be more than happy to help on that end. So I think we're a little over time.
Yes,
What we might do, we want to wrap the session now, Andrew. We
we
could go
should
on
probably
for a
wrap
couple
the
of hours.
session, and we may need to do a whole nother session on ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is amazing for so many things, from creating budgeting plans, marketing plans, identifying areas of weakness, brainstorming. Like, there's so many things that you can do with it. So I think we would have to. I think it would be only fair to do. Maybe we come back with another session, or in fact, we have done many a session on ChatGPT on our podcast Friday AI, which I strongly encourage people to check out, where you see us dive deeper on our passions and our hobby, which is artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So we'll leave it here and thank you guys for staying long, and appreciate all your feedback and interactions in the sessions. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks with another. What's our next webinar coming up, Kasim?
Uh, so that I believe is on September 24th. Yeah, September 24th.
And what's our topic?
Salary versus dividends, I believe.
Salary versus dividends. So, yeah, an important topic because I know people always want to know, should I go salary or dividends? So come check that out in 2 weeks from now, and same bat time, same bat channel, right? Thanks.